Now, to be precise, John Bedini already solved the problem of Ronald Brandt's problem of his transistors vaporizing. Besides, or despite that, I can't help but think of Richard Hackenberger after the FCC raid decided to willfully create capacitance within the context of the chassis of the EV Gray motor and flush out the excess by pumping air through the interior so that there would be no more arcing and no buildup of electrostatic charge beyond a certain point that would be antithetical to the FCC's purposes, namely it would so as not to impact the local environment's AM radio band, or FM, whatever it is, that it was interfering with. So not to discredit, or ignore that Bedini already solved the problem of the vaporizing transistors, it sounds parallel. It sounds similar to that kind of problem that Richard Hackenberger was having prior to the FCC raid that he solved afterwards so that something like that raid would never happen again. Because it sounds similar also to, it sounds more similar to the earlier problem that they had of blowing up batteries in the EV Gray motor setup. They had a second bank of batteries they were blowing up because they didn't know what to do with the excess energy, and so they started dumping it into a bank of batteries, and it was boiling and blowing up the batteries. So then they learned to flush it with air so that the static buildup would not amplify the output too much, or create an out of control output or an out of control situation. I guess you could say it's similar to what do you call it? Parasitic transients that oh God, I can't remember names. Eric Dollard said that guy that always hung out in a canoe out in the woods, he had to be called in to solve the problem in the early days of the AC power grid history. It blew up manhole covers off of streets, and it just blew itself up because it just got out of control, out of hand, and it was sucking energy from the system and took on a life of its own. And it sounds like that's what's happening in these systems. Yeah, they're over unity, but they're out of control, they're out of hand, and things get blown up and vaporized when you don't want them to. It ends up destroying the system. So it sounds like it's all very similar in that respect. And Bedini said he solved it, but I can't help but wonder if there are more than one ways of solving the problem of Ronald Brandt's transistors vaporizing. Let's put it that way.